dressed. So we're here this morning with Helen Phillips, the owner of Moreton Hall.
During lockdown, when we couldn't buy any materials, we started digging out what looked like a muddy wet hole in the ground, and it turned out to be another cellar.
Oh wow, lovely. I love the portico. It's really nice, isn't it?
It's changed since we arrived. It used to be glazed, and we spoke to the heritage officer about it. She didn't think it was original, but some of the photos from sort of wartime had it on with the glazing. It looked like it had been added on.
Yes.
And we were going to restore it, and then we realised that the glass was huge, and when we came to try and repair the wood underneath, we found it had slipped, and it was slipping, and it was dry rot in the wooden frame.
Right. Yeah.
And we ended up having to take the glass out really carefully. And we spoke to the heritage officer again, and she said it's fine if you want to remove it. That's absolutely fine. So we took it down, and our gardener broke all the glass, so it won't go back up.
Oh, right. It was probably a Victorian edition anyway, wasn't it? Yeah.
And having taken it down, it did make a difference to how cold the house is, but it looks a lot better.
It does. It looks lovely. Very nice. When was it built? Was it the 17?
So different views. There was a house here before Moreton House called Devon House. And
Yes.
They, the owners thought that was built around 1760.
Right.
Although it's possible there was even an older house on the site from around the Queen Anne period.
Mm-hmm.
There was a fire, and Moreton was built around that.
Oh, right,
So
okay.
It's had several incarnations. So the Queen Anne house was supposedly a 2-storey and a 3-storey, but looking the opposite direction.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was made into a bigger house, and I think the front door was possibly moved around that side. And then it was made even bigger, so this wing was added more recently than that, probably in the early 1800s.
Right, okay. Because it changed its name in 1821, didn't it?
I think so.
From Devon
yeah,
to Moreton.
So
Yeah.
it was possible when this wing was built, that was when the name changed. And that up there, that was Benjamin Disraeli's guest suite.
All right, okay.
His letters that are listed as coming from the ship room in Moreton House.
Oh, that's great. Lovely. Can't wait to get inside.
Yeah, come on in.
Oh, it's lovely. Thank you. Lovely colour.
What do you think of the chandelier? I can't decide whether I love it or hate it. It must have been a gas lamp at some point.
Yes, definitely, I would have said. It's impressive. Yeah, it's big. It's big enough for the space, isn't it? Yeah. Would it have had globes covering the bulbs, do you think? Yeah. It's lovely. That's definitely in keeping, isn't it? The ceiling up there, the way it comes down, it's a bit odd, isn't it?
Obviously, I was just saying this wing of the house was added more recently, and I think the whole thing sort of pulled a little bit away, so it's all a little bit had some sort of problems. So from about the 1950s, that's 1956, it was owned by a boarding school, Renovating College, and it was a boarding school for 50 years. And so they maintained it perhaps slightly less than stately condition.
Yeah.
And they dealt with a lot of the big structural problems. So underneath that boxing there's a big steel beam, and
Yes.
all the way through to the next room.
I thought that might be what it was, yeah.
They obviously went to some effort to disguise the beam quite carefully, and they've managed to keep the original ceiling rose built in quite tastefully. In the other room they didn't go to quite so much trouble. I guess it was just a classroom.
No.
And we've redone the ceiling in there.
The morning room.
The whole level lower so it hides the steel beam.
Oh, lovely doors. Really nice doors.
Amazing. They may have come from another house, possibly
Oh, really?
the big old stately homes that was here before Moreton was built.
Because this family, was it the Stuckley Buttes?
So the Stucleys still live at Heartland Abbey.
Yes.
Another one to put on your list.
Yeah, I definitely want to visit there
That's
someday.
an amazing property, much older original property.
Yeah.
Right on the coast in Heartland.
We have been many years ago, but it was way before the feed, so I didn't film or take photographs.
Most people know it as Mallory Towers now, as it's been on the BBC.
Yes.
Series.
It's got a great location, hasn't it?
It's
The bay behind it and
absolutely
everything.
stunning. So the family used to own a lot of these properties.
Mm-hmm.
I guess there's a distant relative descending from the Grenville family, which is really famous in this area. The Stucleys owned this, but they weren't originally the Stucleys. There was a family called Buck, Buck who built the house originally. But the Buck family married a Stucley, and it was the man was the Buck, the woman was the Stucley, and they were distant cousins. And he took the Stucley name, and they eventually moved just to Heartland.
Oh, lovely.
They actually had this house until the Second World War, and it was commandeered for use as a school during the war. They took in a school from Hastings, and we found some letters under the floorboards from
Oh, really?
to trace the people
Yeah.
who were involved. And then it went back to the family, and they tried really hard to make ends meet afterwards, and they did a lot of projects in the garden apparently where they were employing the local men who came back and were looking for work. So they built all sorts of things like fountains just to help employ them.
Oh, that was great.
But in the end, I think the death duties caught up with them when the Lord passed away, and they sold it in the 1950s to the school.
They own Alfreton Castle as well, isn't it? That they've got the people that own Heartland.
Okay.
Yeah, which
I don't know.
yeah, it's another. I think it was a hunting lodge to start with, but then they turned it into an actual house, and I believe the family that live at Heartland still have Alfreton. Yeah.
Still owned a lot of the land. Some of the new housing is their farmland.
Oh, right, okay.
Sold.
Lovely, thank you. Did you choose the colour?
Yes.
It's lovely.
I found the description in the old paperwork that said this was green, and I thought
Yeah.
it was mint green when we moved in.
All right, yeah, not quite right. Yeah, but no, it's a lovely green. Yeah.
This was the first one we painted. We just thought, got to make the entrance look nice. It was
Definitely.
obviously relatively good condition. They kept some of the rooms quite formal during the school days. This was
Yeah.
one that was looked after, and there's a ballroom upstairs.
Oh yes, I'm looking forward to seeing the ballroom. They knocked 3 rooms into one to make the ballroom, didn't they? Yeah.
So they made some changes to the house in the early, it was about 1912, 13, for a family wedding when the Lord passed and the new son became Lord. They modified the house. They built a new staircase, which I'll show you through there in a moment, and they put the ballroom in.
Lovely. Shall we move on?
Before we go on.
Shall we have one afterwards? Yeah. Nigel will definitely have one afterwards, won't you? Yeah, if that's all right, Helen. Yeah, thank you.
We don't know whether this really was the morning room, but it makes sense because it's the
East
sun
facing,
rises over
yeah.
there, and with the bay, you get the beautiful morning sun.
Yes, I imagine you do.
There's not a lot original in here apart from the shutters and the
Yeah.
windows.
Lovely space, though.
Curved windows are quite unusual.
The curve in the corner is quite unusual as well, isn't it? For
So there was one there in the old plans, I think.
Oh, was there?
Because the house has changed, it's been modified many, many times. That curve's gone, possibly when.
yeah.
Well, possibly.
So you use this as the bar area now, do you, for weddings?
Our bar when we do functions and weddings.
Yeah. It's lovely. Mm.
Yeah, so this is where the steel beam went across, and the ceiling sort of went down and up and round the steel beam, but we found the coding above it, and we got a local company to
To copy it.
the coding
Yeah.
for us and try to create something that's usable for modern functions, but sort of sympathetic. We do next door first.
Yes, yeah, of course, yeah. We're willing to see anything. You've probably seen on my my feed that we tend to end up on rooftops, don't we? We go all over.
That's the after.
Yes.
This is the before.
Okay. So would this have been the drawing room?
So we think so, or a
Yeah.
billiards room. Now it's in a bit of a state. This is the one where we found all the dry rot. But look at the ceiling.
What a shame. Oh yes, the ceiling is lovely.
This was divided into 3 rooms. So we've taken down the partitions and opened it back out again. And the ceiling's still, well, we're holding it up a little. When the weather's better, we're going to take the roof off the bay and fix it from up above. And we've secured the ceiling back to the laths above, so we took the floor up above, and we've used new Hessian and plaster to stick it back to the laths above.
That's great.
So hopefully that won't fall down, but we've still got to get under the bay, which is to the outside. But yeah, there's a lot of this whole area, all the laths and behind the laths, and all the wood in the walls were all full of dry rot.
Gosh. I bet you're excited about getting the fireplace. I imagine it's going to go there. Yeah.
It would be lovely to have a fireplace, but there's no chimney.
Oh right, okay.
Part of the modifying the rooms above to make the ballroom, we've lost all the internal chimneys. So
All right. And that was done quite early on, wasn't it? The modifications for the ballroom. So, and you can't beat a strip light right in the middle of the scene like this, can you?
You should keep that.
Yeah, I think it's a nice feature. But you are doing a wonderful job. It'd be great to see it once it's finished. Yeah.
I've actually never seen one before with that tablet shape.
They're really intriguing, aren't they? The old descriptions of this room said there was silk Chinese wallpaper.
Oh, right.
Apparently they sold that to an American buyer before the school took over.
Yeah.
So they took it all off. But I'd love to put back a sort of chinoiserie.
Yeah, a bit of inspiration there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, it would look fantastic.
So I'm saving up for wallpaper, because even just buying rolls of wallpaper for this size room costs a fortune.
Well, I hope you get what you want. I'm sure you will.
I've always had an obsession.
Well, so have I, haven't I, Stu? Yeah, so they are my favourite
Some of my
rooms.
student days in Brighton, so
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
the pavilion.
Yeah.
I won't say my inspiration, but certainly that style.
Oh wow, that is beautiful.
Oh gosh, look at that corridor.
Let's turn some more lights on down here.
Yeah. It's a wonderful corridor.
Lovely.
So this was all
The
quite hidden
staircase.
when we arrived.
Really? False ceilings.
Boxed in, and full of heating pipes and water pipes.
How could they do that?
Came out of the cellar up through the floor. This was all covered in sort of red school commercial vinyl flooring. Actually, when we took the vinyl up, we realised that was the only thing that was holding us up. The floor was so rotten. We were just walking around on this
Oh, dear.
stretched vinyl.
And these are some old photos.
They were all hidden above the boxing, and there was a big partition with a fire door in it, which obviously for the school safety they've been asked to put in.
Yeah.
Box things in, 'cause actually protected lots of
Yeah.
things, isn't it? But
That was just completely hidden, and it's stunning.
It is, it's lovely. So do you think this is a Victorian, late Victorian part of the house, or Georgian?
So I think possibly this wall on this side was the old outside wall
Yeah.
of the very early house, and then this was added later.
Morning.
No,
No, it's all right. A special guest.
I don't think this is as late as Victorian. I think this is probably in the incarnation that was sort of 1820s.
Yeah. Wonderful.
I don't know, but finished by 1820s, I would describe it. Between 1760 and 1820 there were probably some big changes, but I don't know which bit of the house dates from where.
From where, yeah. I like mystery houses. Yeah.
Let me show you this one.
You're excused.
We call this one the club room, but this was originally a library.
Oh wow, it's beautiful.
There are stories around in some of the old history about how the library was cleared. I don't know whether it was when the school first moved in or when it was commandeered or even earlier, but apparently they got rid of a whole load of their books into the hedgerows and just created Devon banks with books in. So there were stories of people being able to go along hedgerows and pull out a book. I guess you think about a library full of amazing books to read, but they were probably really boring old accounts. And I think
Lovely bookcases.
like many of the landed gentry at the time, I'm sure some of their financial activities were based on shipping things that maybe one wouldn't want to ship these days.
Yes.
So keeping that history is maybe.
A lot of pictures on the wall.
We always need more pictures, but it's not like our family comes from this lifestyle. So unfortunately, I don't have huge oil paintings of our ancestors.
As you can probably tell, we're the same. But I do love antiques, and we do collect antiques now. But yeah, it's a nice cabinet, that is. Yeah.
We've explored the county by following Facebook Marketplace finds. Some of it's really genuinely old, some of it's just upcycled, and we get what we can. And
Yeah.
we had an old Georgian house before we moved here, so before we had this financial pressure, we used to buy nicer furniture.
It's a roof shower, a lot of rain.
Yeah, that's where we started.
We've been on the roof, haven't we?
We have, yeah. But it's wonderful. What a lovely job.
When we first moved in, so that was the first big job, we had to replace the lead balustrade along the front, so there was water coming in this whole corner of the house, which was obviously feeding the dry rot problem. But that was some big expensive projects right at the start.
No, it's great. This room especially. Really, really love this room.
We did a lot of learning in here because when we thought it looked in relatively good condition when we started, but it had been overboarded up to about sort of 8 feet high, protect it from schoolboys. This was a gym. Would you believe they used this?
Oh, really? Yeah.
So it had a netball hoop on the wall there.
Yeah.
And it's still got little brass things. They were for the monkey balls. So you can imagine the netball in the house in this room. The plasterwork wasn't in quite the condition it's in
No.
now. And the windows were all, at the bottom sashes were all just replaced with square framed cheap windows. So we've actually replaced these windows. That was another big project at the beginning. And we learned a lot about silicone moulding.
Yeah, to copy it.
And made up lots and lots of pieces.
Well,
I actually got a company to help make some of the frames because we couldn't reproduce such long pieces. But we made a lot of these little flowers. They made quite a few of them. They made hundreds of them for me, but I also made about 130 of these little flowers. That's brilliant.
That's what she is. I always think, I just make it simply myself and do it myself. And I always think, you've done exactly what we do.
Yeah. So I had to do all the bits separately. So there's little ones that look like little flowers on lollipops.
Yes.
So they were quite hard to do because they're very three-dimensional. And the fans, I made a fan which we probably made about 48 of those to stick on where they dropped.
You've done a brilliant job.
it's a brilliant job. You wouldn't know, honestly.
There's
Yeah.
another strip like that.
Yeah.
Oh, and you took it down, honestly.
We got that made in actually by a Chinese factory that will make. They would make them to whatever shape and size you wanted.
Yeah.
So I designed a thing to fit that shape, and it said that it would come in pieces, and we assumed that it would come, maybe the 3 frames separately. It came individually wrapped bits of glass with loads and loads of little pieces of wire that long.
Oh my
It
word.
was like making earrings.
Yeah.
We spent about 2 weeks on the top of a bit of scaffolding, threading each one of these little bits of glass onto it. Some assembly required.
They don't tell you that bit.
A labour of love, this room is, isn't it? Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It's gorgeous. And you think it was a billiard room originally?
Well, library.
Yeah,
I
library.
Think, I think library.
I can't wait to take some photographs in that room. The light's nice as well though, isn't it?
That's it during its school days.
Excuse me, Nigel.
Old annexes there, but
Yeah, so that's where the housing is now. So the
Yeah.
orientation
Yeah.
is that the drive runs from left to right down towards the Abertram Roads. And that's where the boarding house is. We're still here when we first arrived. They were
Right.
demolished in 2017.
And is that the bit that's still there?
So
The
that's
park?
the bit, so the tennis court was actually on the front lawn outside the portico. So this is looking back Abertram Road,
Yes.
running kind of along there, sort of Bideford, that direction.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all housing now.
At least you've got lots of neighbours.
Yeah. Let's hope they all want to get married.
Yes,
Have
exactly. Well,
nice anniversary dinners.
another
Dining
lovely room. They're such great proportions, aren't they?
So we haven't done quite as detailed restoration on the walls in here. This is still over.
The boarding, yeah.
And we had to get things ready quite quickly for our very first wedding. So we left the boarding because we knew if we took it off we'd discover more.
So what was under the other boarding when you took it off in the other room?
Rubble.
Oh, right, okay. So it's not covering up some lovely panelling or anything like that now?
No, it held in the damp. So it was lath and plaster on two walls, and then the back wall was solid lime rendered brick and stone. So the outside wall and the back wall were solid rendered, and the inner walls were lath and plaster. So all done with lime, but it had just got damp and just crumbled off. So when we just ended up. Yeah.
Your tapestries are nice though.
they are, yes.
I think,
We
yeah.
used to live in Paris a long time ago and collected these from the Marché aux Puces.
Yes. We've been talking about that this weekend, haven't we? We're going to go and spend some time in France. Really want to feature some chateaux, so
Yeah.
I thought where better to start than the Loire Valley. And the French people that own the chateaux are so friendly. They've got in touch with me, you know, and I'm
There's a
like,
whole movement of people who've followed the Dick and Angel.
Yes, yeah,
Sort of
yeah.
chateau.
they're so lovely. That one in particular, I like that. That looks like Chateau Chambord up in that little tapestry up there, doesn't it?
That one there used to be on our bedroom floor, and that was about the size of our bedroom.
Yeah. Well, you've definitely moved on to bigger things.
When they've got a story.
It's a lovely cornice as well. Did you have to repair this one?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. Made a lot of those little agapanthus kind of leaves.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
How long did you have before? How long did that take you?
So we moved in, we bought the place very end of 2014. We moved in by middle of 2016, but there was a lot of roof work and things like that to do before we could move in. And then we were all set. We actually did a part of the house that I haven't shown you yet, the what we call the Victorian wing. So I think it was the old staff rooms, so the kitchens, the scullery, the old servants' hall. We've turned that into holiday apartments.
Oh,
so
right,
you
okay.
can come and stay
Yeah.
in those. So we started there, a lot easier renovation than the Georgian decorative pieces. But when we'd finished those by sort of the first one 2017, and then by 2019 we had them all done, and that's when we started opening for business. So we opened for holiday guests first, and then we started looking towards opening the function rooms. We were ready to launch March 2020, the best time to launch a wedding venue.
Slap bang in the middle of COVID,
So we had planned an open day, a kind of wedding fair. We went to a wedding fair at a neighbouring farm park. They had a big fair for vendors, so we were going to go there going, we're open, have an open day the day after. And then it was sort of,
Lockdown.
we're open, no we're not. It was literally a week after that wedding fair that they locked the country down. So we didn't actually have any weddings until September 21, we had our first one.
Right.
So we had bit of a rush to get things ready for our launch. We wanted this room done and we had to get photos done. So we did this renovation quite quickly.
Yeah.
But when lockdown happened, we hadn't renovated the floor properly by that stage. So during lockdown, we took up the floor, we repaired. There was a lot of mould and some rot in the support structures underneath the floorboards. So we did the floor then, and that's when we found the cellar. So there's a cellar underneath.
Oh, right, okay. Lucky find. Yeah.
Yeah, so as if we needed another room. But we call that our room 101, because we could count up 100 and that's...
Yeah, definitely. Oh, great.
So we do have some wine.
It did give people the opportunity, didn't it, COVID, to do a lot of renovation, but of course then all the supplies started running out and everything got more expensive.
We just couldn't get supplies.
No.
The builder's merchant shut, and they said that they were only allowed to give things to projects like hospitals and schools.
Yeah.
So there was a point where we had a big Phillips window to replace one over the toilets actually, and they had it delivered, but they weren't allowed to deliver it to us. And we sat there for about 2 weeks with a hole in our roof.
Oh, no.
And eventually, surely a listed building with a hole in the roof, you could deliver it, and eventually we could.
Definitely. Lovely lantern.
That was here when we moved in. That's the original from this space. Some of the schoolboys from the 60s and 70s, they remember a winch that they could
Wind it
down,
up and down.
wind it down, but we can't find any winch mechanism we can move away
Oh,
on.
gosh. The big rails above us, or the picture
Yes.
rails there.
If you
Right.
know anyone who does tapestry on a very grand scale for no money, I'd love to meet them.
Okay, I'm sure somebody will hear you on the video and be in touch.
We're thinking probably large-scale digital printing is the way forward.
Yes, definitely, yeah.
Then we've got to decide what to put up, what theme.
I know a lot of people that have used that digital wallpaper that looks like tapestry. Chillington Hawley's one in their dining room, that looks fantastic.
Print onto woven fabric.
Yeah.
It could be very, very similar.
I don't know if it's going to work out.
Very tall ladder.
We put scaffolding up here to paint and decorate the lantern, and we had to repair some of the glass. So we've already had it scaffolded once. It's a very long way up.
Yeah.
It is, yeah, gosh. Yeah, I wouldn't go up there. I've got a fear of heights, haven't I, Steve? Even though I end up on the top of country houses quite often. So that would have been open at one point, that glass there, yeah.
I'm sure it was, and I'm sure it was closed in for fire safety.
Yeah.
This was the one bit of the house that was habitable when we moved in, well, almost habitable. It had no heating. It had one working toilet and a sort of a working kitchen, and we're actually working in there at the moment.
Okay. These doors are definitely school doors, aren't they?
Well, underneath they're not.
Oh, right, okay. They've just covered them.
On a very long list of jobs to do.
Oh, yes, you can see the panel at the top, can't you? Yeah, they are nice underneath.
They literally go inside, don't they?
Yeah, I think a lot of those sorts of things happen in the school to create fire doors. They overboarded
Yeah.
some of it with that.
Look at that pillar, it's got no capital, has it? Is the capital in the ceiling?
It goes up all the way through. Put some light on for you.
Thank you.
So this room, it would have had a hole or
An oculus, the light, yeah.
So above it, there's a light in a window in the roof above the second floor, and that column goes all the way up and comes out in what was the school shower room.
Oh, really?
So
So
it's now where my daughter keeps living.
it's a bit of a...
What I think is that in the older version of the house, before they put that wooden staircase in, I think this was an open staircase.
Yes.
An open atrium.
It does
So
make
you can
sense.
see the angles.
Yeah, I was going to say there's something running across the wall there. Yeah. With a post on the end, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Must be staircase. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Post in the
This
room.
is like an...
it's really difficult to know what to do when you've got a room that's so much modified. At
Yeah.
what point do you try and recreate? Because we obviously can't knock it back and put the original stairs.
No,
I don't know whether we can do something to make the column a bit more of a feature.
It's just really odd that it comes out
Really odd.
in a shower, and you can
Very
actually
thin,
see
yeah.
the patching up of the ceiling, can't you?
Yeah,
You can.
so we just patched that bit up to make
Yeah.
it look a bit. It was quite a hole in that bit of the ceiling.
Yeah.
But this we'd love to put back.
Yes.
Natural light.
There's many. I've seen so many of those lovely oculuses that let light through. There's one at Croom Park. There's one at Wentworth Woodhouse, which is a really nice example.
Yeah. So the only thing is when you do that sort of thing, it affects the fire safety. So you have to prove it with fire officers as well. So there's more lovely doors here, but nothing much behind there. We've got a bit of repair to do and that.
Oh right, okay. But there would have been another room behind there originally, like
And I guess it's changed because of building the ballroom. They put these curved ends on it, so it's left a funny bit of the room behind.
Oh yes.
And because of the symmetry from the outside, the windows are evenly spaced, so they had to put. There's a window in that end.
Right, okay, yeah. Yeah, it's a lovely room. What date does this? Is this Victorian?
So this is 1912.
Oh, 1912, so Edwardian.
When they knocked this up. So it does the Robert Adams style.
Yes, yeah. Lovely fireplace.
20th century Robert Adams. I don't know whether the fireplace might be older. Possibly even moved from one of the original rooms. It looks like it could be older.
It does. They look like 18th century faces, don't they, rather than Edwardian faces. Yeah. That's lovely. Cornucopia there was
so
amazing.
we still haven't. This room was quite well looked after because the school used it for exams and assemblies and surprise givings and things. But I took down the red curtains quite recently, and the red helmet decided it was a bit too bright. It wasn't very bridal, so I've made some new curtains. But I'm dying to get to this room, and I'd love to put some colour back in the ceiling.
Yes.
Some pinks and blues.
Yeah.
I mean, they even look like white toys.
They do, yeah, the little plaques.
Yeah, so we need some colour, perhaps even a little gold.
Yes, I'm very.
Lovely.
Beautiful room.
Yeah, I imagine it would have been probably white and gold to start with, don't you? They were crazy on that then, weren't they, in the Edwardian period?
This is my excuse to go around to lots of gold. Pink colour schemes.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. I'm trying to think of a similar room. Actually, there's one down here in Devon.
Saltram has the it's a beautiful. The grand salon is much.
Oh
more
yes, yeah,
opulent, but
yeah.
it's-
Robert Adam, yeah, the blue silk walls and all that. But I'm just trying to think of an Edwardian or late Victorian example of a room like this, and it would probably Oldway Mansion. Do you know it in Paynton? So if you have a look at the interiors of Oldway, it was built by new money, wasn't it? But they had a staircase that resembles the staircase that was originally at Versailles, Louis XIV staircase, and upstairs there's a ballroom very similar to this, but it is like Louis Quinze, so it's gold and white. You might want to have a look at that and see what. But it's unusual with the French style kind of panels, and then the Adam style ceiling.
Well, I guess because of the date of its building, they had all kinds of different eras.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
And the chandeliers. I mean, they just have to go.
Yeah.
Like they came from someone's granny.
Well, I think you used to be able to get these in Argos, didn't you, Steve? They're called Marie Therese, I think, or something like that.
They were trying their best.
Yeah.
I keep looking around for some Empire chandeliers, and I need to save my pennies because I think that's what this needs.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, I like this room very much. It would be lovely to know how it was decorated originally.
Yeah. So the electric fittings are also quite spectacular, but they make our electrician twitch a little because they're not wired properly.
Oh right, okay. Don't pop them on.
Rewire, and that means obviously with the floor bit, you don't want to lift the floor.
No.
We've got the ceiling, you don't want to dig into into the ceiling of the wall. So we're going to have to take up floorboards above, I think, and
Oh gosh.
kind of thread down behind the panels.
Would you ever just remove them out the battery versions? So they're completely safe?
It's possible we could just use rechargeable bulbs.
That's it, yeah,
Can't
within the
you?
Mm.
But I just, it's just another thing on the list, isn't it? How many bulbs
Yeah.
to remember to recharge before every event?
So what do you currently use this for, Helen?
So, well, this is usually a furniture store, but
Yeah.
we use this for wedding ceremonies.
Yeah.
We've got the short carpeting, right? I've got an aisle carpet and all these chairs.
Mhm.
We are licensed for weddings, so it makes a beautiful ceremony room.
Yeah, it does.
It should be a lovely ballroom, but it's a bit fragile. But the school used to worry about how many people to allow
Yes,
in
I
it.
was thinking
Mm.
And obviously you can't do real structural experiments
Yeah.
without destroying things or
Yeah.
well, all we know is that if you walk around here, the chandelier downstairs tinkles.
Oh right,
You
okay.
mentioned earlier it was 3 rooms into one. I did wonder if they'd ever considered by
Yes,
time.
Oh,
and
dear.
it's sprung floor, so we are a little careful.
Yes.
I mean, I imagine it would make a lovely bigger space to eat at a wedding banquet, but
Mm.
the kitchens are downstairs, so we don't use it as much as we should. When we moved in, my daughter used to use it for scootering, roller skating,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. They were quite little then.
But it is lovely. The doors are lovely as well. And I imagine that was a painting above the
Possibly
fireplace. Yeah.
creative, don't I?
Yeah. Maybe like a Francois Boucher painting or something like that.
I've got I'll show you one drawing, so you can bits of furniture.
You have got some nice furniture.
So these are, we think these were the original Queen Anne style Devon house rooms.
Oh right,
Well,
okay.
we call
Yeah,
this
the
Devon
Dadden suite.
When we moved in, as a listed building, when you put your first applications in, you're obliged to get a heritage asset statement, which kind of explains what features are currently present.
Okay.
Yeah.
It gives the planning department a sort of record of what's in place. And he got really quite excited when he walked in here because the panelling and the coving, he said, were much, much older than all the Georgian
Yeah.
parts of the house.
Right,
He
okay.
said, this is Queen Anne. He thinks this must have been an original room from Devon. That wall was completely destroyed. It was cement rendered directly onto the outside wall. So we rebuilt the wooden panelling on here and recreated the coving again. My little bits of
You are an expert now. Yeah.
I just did the repeat and
That's brilliant.
Well, there's a cottage
My,
industry, isn't there?
I'm sure the professional companies do it much more efficiently, but needs must.
Oh yeah, I think you've done brilliant.
Yeah, I do.
Brilliant.
My painter decorator was very pleased with me when I gave him bits this long to try and jigsaw together.
I have to say, Helen, you've done a wonderful job. I've seen that online.
Yes,
Yeah.
so I got it.
So,
It's a digital copy,
Mhm.
and they'll make it to any size you like. So I just sized it up so the birds fit in that size and
Yes,
shape.
yeah.
And then,
Beautiful.
so I didn't have to paint anything.
Yeah.
I see exactly like you said for the ballroom
absolutely.
fireplace. It needed a painting.
Definitely.
So rather than hanging a picture frame inside what was already a lovely frame.
It looks like you did this, yeah.
Yeah, don't look too closely.
No, I think
It
that's a
was
great job.
Gloss painted, and there
Mhm.
were bricks with thick gloss paint making the hearth. So it was really hard to tell what was original and what was old.
Yeah.
And the black part was brick as well, but gloss
Really?
painted. And again, just financial constraints, and it wasn't marble, but I thought it's at least authentic. Georgians did that.
It's
They
lovely.
did
Yeah.
paint marble effect.
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
Yeah. Well, this room reminds me very much of the bridal suite at Staunton Harold Hall. Do you remember seeing? And the colour scheme as well is exactly the same.
the
Yeah.
spot who watched Bridgerton.
Okay.
I got a bit carried away.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't say you've been carried away. I think it's wonderful. The panelling obviously carried on that wall, didn't it?
There must have been a bookcase there.
Yeah.
That was as the panelling appeared when we moved in, we could have recreated what was there, but it felt more authentic to just
Leave it as it
leave
was,
it
yeah.
as it was. I suspect it was a big bookcase.
Definitely, especially with the panelling down the wall there, you can see it kind of down there.
So that's why we did the wallpaper along like that, because it's.
So is this a guest bedroom for the wedding, or is this the
Well,
bridal
we
suite?
generally use this as the honeymoon suite.
Yeah.
Getting ready space, and I guess with the funny curved room that goes along, my plan is when we finally get around to renovating that we'll create a bit more of a getting ready space.
Yeah.
I want to put a bath in that little annex room. I've got a shower room next door, but just improve
I haven't got very far to walk at all, have I?
Well, I have to say that you've done so well in this room. It's lovely. I'd definitely like to stay in that room.
Open for holidays. So you're not getting bored yet, are you?
Not at all. No, we never get bored.
This is just another guest room from probably an older bit of
Part of the house, yeah.
One we've just done a quick fix. The school or somebody has put in a quite utilitarian shower room. We haven't got round to restoring that yet, but we've tried to make it a little bit more charming.
It's lovely.
It's beautiful.
Is it William Morris wallpaper?
Similar.
Yeah, similar.
Lovely
It's
wall.
lovely.
Slightly more economical version, but obviously very inspired by William
I think
Morris.
it's great.
Still very nicely designed,
Beautiful,
yeah.
Lovely colours.
And
I love the little niche.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was funny. There's a shower built into there, and they made it the height of the shower, and it was a box that stuck out, and it had this funny corner. So I said to my decorating team,
Turn it into an arch.
create an arch, and he was like, he was plastering an arch really hard.
I love that.
No, it's a
I
nice
think that.
touch.
I really do,
Yeah.
I really do.
And can you put that lamp on at night?
I probably could.
Yeah. But it's
beautiful.
lovely.
Really
Yeah.
lovely room there.
And that's the Scott suite.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Scott was the original head teacher of the school. We kept a lot of. So we go see some of the newer apartments.
Yes,
The
yes.
Of course.
Victorian wing. Yes. So the first headmaster of Grenville College was Scott. So we named something after him.
Yeah,
Now
lovely.
I'm not sure whether this. I had a music rehearsal in here on Sunday, and I'm not sure whether anyone's been in and tidied up.
Oh, the door's lovely.
Yes. This came from a recommendation we are